Notes for book part 2, Jeff's life. Let's go back a little bit and let's start out right after the new house was built. It would be around 1984, 1985. Mom did not have cancer at this time, and everything was going good. However, as Mom was going into the hospital finding out about her cancer and finding out she had cancer, it took within 3 months. One of the problems was one of the neighbors, Jacob Williams, and then his buddy Tony and several other kids didn't know me, but they had a crush on Jeff's older sister, Ann. But they were bullies, and they were very, very bad bullies. And one of the things that they did was every night they thought it was funny to put on masks and go over to Jeff's bedroom, because he had 2 windows, one on the north side and one on the west side of the house, and because he was in a corner bedroom. And they would go up and they would basically knock on his windows, and they'd wear masks and the lights are out. So then when they could see that anybody at the house was over, they were in the kitchen area, which is away from Jeff's room, they'd go over there and they would intentionally scare him every single night. Now, a lot of people think no, they literally did it every single night. Years later, Jacob and Tony admitted to doing this every night because they thought it was the funniest thing in the world. And everybody thought that Jeff was exaggerating because he kept saying there was monsters, and you're talking about a boy that is 7 years old, and he was scared to death. And here's a group of kids that don't go to bed till like freaking, I don't know, midnight, 1 o'clock, and they were still doing it at that time. So when Jeff would get to bed, they'd purposely do everything in their power to wake him up by throwing things against his windows, tapping, so only he would know. It's funny because later on they admitted it to Jeff's sister also, who thought it was just a terrible thing that they were doing. But it caused panic, it caused anxiety, and they just kept doing it over and over and over. Could never get a good night's sleep, to where it affected him for later on. Now on the bus, these same kids that were bullied would all, because he was new going to school, and this was going to regular school before they decided to carpool. But they would always call Jeff Blinky, and because he blinked. Well, when you're a kid, you don't realize that's human nature. Everybody blinks. And so, but as a kid, to be called names over and over and over again by bullies and to be picked on. Tony was about a 300-pound kid who, he'd just sit on Jeff. And problem is, they didn't care if you could breathe or not, because they didn't understand that they were suffocating him. And because of anxiety, and because of being paranoid, and because of being scared, it literally caused him to go crazy. And it caused him to go crazy because they were just being bullies and picking on him and threatening him and harassing him nonstop for years, over and over and over. And when his mom got sick, they did it because it was funny to them. It was funny to torment this little boy who, between 7 and 11, they tormented every single day. And the weekends was even worse. So, these little notes and these little things that go out were later on admitted to, and people admitted that they did it, and they didn't care. And so, to put this in the book and put it all in perspective, these were the only boys in the neighborhood. Everybody else was girls. And so Jeff had nobody else to play with. These kids were all older, and they should not have been playing with him in the first place because they were bullies. And they got a kick out of being bullies. They got a kick out of tormenting, and just 7 days a week, just nonstop. And nobody stopped them because they would do it when nobody was looking. There is a case where Jeff was digging a hole last night, just a simple hole, just very, very simple. And Jacob Williams came over and was like, "Oh, your hole sucks. You need to really..." And he just destroyed the hole. You know, every time that Jeff would build something outside, Jake would come over and destroy it. There was no apologies or reprimands for later on. He just literally just was a torment. And later on, it's funny because he's like, oh, I'm your friend because, you know, I was your bully, so I'm your friend. And it was really hard to deal with.